Hey guys, it's Steve with Orlando Collector Deviant. We are here for the last interview of the day in beautiful Kissimmee at the Osceola Heritage Park at the Infinity Toy and Comic Con. It was a great year, great comeback. How did you like it? Oh, and by the way, I'm with David, or not David, Jose Fuentes with Silverline Comics. But so, how did you enjoy the day?
It was my first con for this one anyway, and I actually thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed the people that came up and talked. There are several young artists that actually came up to talk to me about my process and the things that I did.
And did they say, "Judge my work"? Do you think it's good?
No, we just give that for free.
Oh, come on. I
No.
like how they always, and I'm going to say this because I've been doing this for a long time and I got a lot of friends in the comic industry, and I watch where people come up. So, do you think is it good enough to be in Marvel? And it's like you realize I'm with Silverline, right?
Right. I haven't had any situation like that. I have had to critique people's artwork, which is like not something I like doing. But Jim Lee did a interview where he said you always give 3 positives and 3 negatives when you critique, and that's kind of what I use.
See,
But thankfully, I haven't had to.
You're
really
nicer
do-
than me. I just like, you know what? I'm one way or the other. This is really good. You can expand on this, or "Man, this is crap to start all over again."
Well, there are people who make their own comic or do artwork for other people, and it is. I don't want to say it's not the best work, but definitely their mother would be proud. And then there are people obviously who just like excel at it and whatnot. But either way, both types of art get printed and both types of art get sold. So
Hey, I've seen some of those homemade comics that even their mother would not be happy about. And then one of my big things is, and this is, I'm going to put it out there. Everybody knows how I feel about independent comic creators. I love them. I love going down Indie Road at any convention. I'm out there always looking for the next best thing.
that's cool.
I am one of those. Don't overprice your book, because if you're going to sell your book for $25, I'm not going to buy your
Right.
book for $25. You sell your book for $5, I'm going to look at your book. Engage me as I'm walking. Don't look up from your phone and then back down.
So
But
I am not a people person for the most part. I tend to stay at home by myself and work. But engaging people is something I'm learning to do.
oh well, you got the perfect teacher with Roland. If you watch Roland, Roland engages with everybody.
Yeah.
He will go outside. Oh, hey, did you know you missed my table and I have cool books? And he will bring
I
them back
believe
in.
that.
But no, and I'm not saying you have to do that with everybody, but I'm just saying, if you want to get people like me, you got to. If you see me standing at your table, you look up, don't look back down.
Right.
Tell me, hey, how you doing? You see this? I did this and all that. And you'll with Silverline, you'll get that down pat.
That's the plan. That's the goal anyway.
Now, how long you been with Silverline?
Man, less than a year, I believe. Yeah. About 5 or 6 months or so.
Okay, so you've only met like a handful of all the Silverline people.
This is the first time I've met anybody from Silverline.
Really, you haven't
Yeah.
met Haley or Tommy or
No, this is the
Oh.
first time I've ever met him.
You're doing Daytona Beach next.
I am.
Okay, you'll meet almost a lot of the whole crew right
Yeah,
there.
I'm so excited. My friend Pete is coming from as well from England.
Brett's one of my favorites.
Nice.
Brett Larson.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. I've had him on the show a few times. And now that you're with them, I'll have you on the show a few times.
Maybe once or twice.
Oh no! See, now my weekly show, I'll have Roland bring you on because we usually do a Silverline spotlight.
Okay.
They have a spot for our drinking with show, and the nice thing is, you hear drinking with. You can drink. And like I said, we sit and talk. Now we're gonna sit and talk. What is your favorite genre of stuff?
Westerns. Like in regards to movies, I love westerns. I grew up watching the old classic westerns like Lone Ranger. You know what I mean?
Okay,
This-
Half Gun Will Travel. All
Yes.
that. Oh yes.
Yep.
One of my favorite westerns, and a lot of people laugh at me. Paint Your Wagon.
Okay.
You ever watch that?
I believe I've seen that.
Clint Eastwood in it. God, what is his name? Marv. Can't remember his last name. Marv something, but always played in all the action stuff. And they're in a musical.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
I even have the soundtrack on my record player.
Oh, that's great. On the record player.
Yep.
That is awesome.
But it is one of those, if you guys ever get a chance to watch it, Paint Your Wagon, Clint Eastwood, young Clint Eastwood, Rawhide era.
Yeah.
Lee Marvin, that's his name, Lee Marvin, sitting there, and it's a musical, and they're singing, and yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, mine was a Wild Bunch. Watching it with my dad.
Yep.
It's one of the few things we did when I was growing up together was watching Westerns with my dad.
Now, okay, Levy, you like Westerns.
Yep.
I'm so disappointed that here lately we haven't had a really good Western.
That's true. I mean, I think DC had, like, when they relaunched New 52, they had All-Star Western, which was basically Jonah Hex. But even that run, my favorite part was when they brought in Nighthawk and Cinnamon. Like, if anybody knows, that's Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
Yeah. Well, I'm even talking like movie-wise. We haven't. I'm going to say, now the remake of the Magnificent Seven wasn't bad.
Yeah. I was entertained. I went to that not with a lot of expectations because, come on, classic. Yul Brynner.
But they actually did really good with it. I mean, one of Chris Pratt's better movies, I think.
I agree.
Denzel, I mean, can Denzel do a bad movie?
No, that man cannot ever.
Okay, so we agree on that. Now going back to, you said DC. Are you DC or Marvel?
DC.
Okay, we got that going. I used to be, when I was younger, it was Marvel, but as I grew, DC took over my...
I think everyone, a lot of people are like very hardcore Marvel. I have friends that are hardcore Marvel. We have conversations all the time. But like, I think as a kid, you grew up liking Marvel. I don't know. To me, the X-Men made sense to me. Like, they just outcasted people that just, it appealed to me. But like, as I got into junior high school, it was Batman. More to the fact, Clayface. The whole reason I started reading any Batman book was because of Clayface.
Why is that?
Because I love Clayface.
Hey.
He's a tragic tale. He's an actor like trying to live a life, and like it's all facade.
Yeah, I see. Like I said, Marvel dealt way back when. Marvel dealt with real situations.
Yeah.
Like with X-Men, you know, that was all about lifestyles and all that.
Right.
Spider-Man was actually teenage problems and all that. But I think as we grew, DC went to be more real world, where Marvel went more fantasy.
Yeah.
Because to me, DC does the real world, like, because it's not a perfect world.
Right.
You know, the crook doesn't say, "Hey, give me your money." You know, they'll shoot you.
Right.
You know.
Well, I enjoyed DC much more when I was, like I said, like high school, junior high. Like, those were books I could lose yourself in. The reason we read comics is because we want to lose ourselves away from whatever our reality is, and just enjoy a moment.
And see, I can still do that with DC because it
depends
still
on the book.
It's okay. And I'm one of those people. You guys can kill me. I did not like the Snyderverse at all. I did not like.
I didn't see it.
Well, the Superman Returns and Batman vs Superman.
I saw those.
Or Man of
Steel.
Steel.
About the whole thing. I didn't see the Snyder cut for.
I didn't. I really didn't even look at that.
Yeah,
because his version of all that was not my version of. And he went a little too, to me, he went too realistic, because we still want to enjoy our movies, our comic books, to escape reality.
Right.
And he made a comment that people need to quit using those to escape reality and deal with reality. And it's like, no, we
deal with reality every day.
We do this. I mean, I play a lot of video games to escape reality.
Right.
You know? Do you play video games?
I do.
PS4 or Xbox?
Xbox. I grew up on Xbox. I can't help it.
Dude, I grew up on Atari. Go give me that.
Well, no, that's fair. I did too. But I mean, as an adult, my first gaming system I bought for myself was an Xbox.
Okay. I see.
But I love the Halo games. That's why. Like, I specifically only bought it because I love Halo.
And see, the one time I had Xbox, it was only for Fable.
Fable's a great game too.
And But when it came down to it, that was the only game I liked for Xbox.
Yeah.
So it was like,
That was one of the few like not so much role playing games, but like kind of like that style of gameplay that my wife liked because you could kick chickens. Oh, like she spent an hour just kicking chickens. She loved it.
and your evil meter gets
I
more
know,
and
right?
more and more.
Little bit.
But see, I'm a big RPG. I grew up with all the RPGs, and that's what I like.
I did too.
You know? So
I grew up playing tabletop. I grew up playing I wasn't a big fan of the Final Fantasy games, even though they're amazing. The artwork form are amazing. I was never a big fan past like Final Fantasy 2. Like, just because that was just me. But
see, and I'm going to tell you, I was a big fan of all the Final Fantasies up to 10. Once you started getting past 10, and then they started doing sequels.
Yeah.
It's like Final Fantasy never did a sequel. That was the whole premise of Final Fantasy, was each game was its own game and
Right.
never intermixed, you know. So I was big, but I grew up Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, you know, Breath of Fire. I still have
Shining
all
Force on Sega Genesis.
those. Yep, I still have
Love
all
that
those.
game.
So it's one of
Breath
those.
of Fire. I think in Breath of Fire you can merge players or not players but characters.
Yeah,
And yes, I love that game too.
yeah, and it's one of those. Like, and Final Fantasy, I just picked up one of them, like Origins, whatever, like a remake, and they're trying to go back to the old style where you can level up classes.
Yeah.
But they screwed it up, and you can't do open world. You have to do the missions that they're telling you to do, and that's not Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy was the first open world game, you know. Even though you don't think about it, back then it was an open world game.
My kids still play it on the Nintendo Classic.
And see, I bought me a Retron 5 so I can play all the originals.
That's cool.
And with the Retron 5, you can do the Sega Genesis, you can do Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Temco games, Game Boy games. So if you ever get a chance and you like those retro games, buy one of those.
Okay.
You can even plug the original controllers in and
cool.
do it.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to you. Like I said, I like going into left field.
No worries.
And especially, I like finding out what we have in common. So it's like, ooh, I know I can talk video games with him. And now I know Westerns. Not a lot of people are big in Westerns anymore.
I know. And I don't know why, honestly. It's something from my childhood. Like I said, I used to do. And then when I got married, my father-in-law was heavy into Westerns, like Paladin, you know what I mean? He would watch that and we would talk about it all the time. Like, that's just something we talked about. So it just, on top of the fact that I grew up with it, I enjoyed it as I was, younger, as an adult, married to my wife, my father-in-law. It was an interest we both had as well, and it just kept going.
I worked in a senior apartment complex, and I was maintenance there. And every day I would have lunch with this older gentleman, and we would sit there and watch Bonanza every day at lunch up until he passed. But he couldn't have lunch until it was Bonanza time with Steve. We sat there and watched Bonanza every day. And then other stuff, like I said, other stuff. God, said Paladin, Half Gun, all that Cisco Kid.
Yes.
Hey Cisco. Stuff that wouldn't be allowed these days.
No, not at all. No.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite movies growing up was Blazing Saddles.
Oh.
And my dad would come pick me and my brother up every couple of weeks or so. And he's like, "Oh, what movie do we want to go rent?" Blazing Saddles. Me, my brother, my sister, or my stepsister, we had that movie memorized so much we didn't even watch it. We would just talk it out.
I think most of us in our generation, because I'm going to say now you're in my generation, so most of us did. I mean, it's still a great movie to this day. And Mel Brooks says, even to this day, no, they wouldn't be allowed to make it now.
Not even close, yeah.
And I did just find out here within like the last year, I did not know Blazing Saddles was Richard Pryor's baby.
I didn't either.
That was his story. He was supposed to be Bart, sheriff, but the company wouldn't insure him because of all his drug problems
Right.
and all that. So that's why he
I
had.
didn't know that. That's wow.
But he was still on set because it was his and Mel Brooks's movie together.
That's cool.
So, and he's another Richard Pryor and what's his name?
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. They were a great
Yeah,
duo
yeah.
back in the day. But all their movies would not be allowed
Oh no.
nowadays.
Like was it See No Evil? No. Hear No
Hear
Evil.
No
See,
Evil,
See
yeah.
No Evil.
What was it? Stir Crazy.
Stir Crazy.
All that stuff wouldn't be allowed. I like you. We're going to talk more.
I grew up watching a lot of old movies.
So, but see, when we were younger, they weren't old movies.
No, they weren't.
They were at the time. We're just now old.
Right? Yeah. Like most of what we play my kids now is are musicals. My kids love musicals, like Broadway musicals. Love them.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to Silver Line before we call it a day because it's almost 5 o'clock and we're almost closed. Now, tell us what you work on at Silver Line.
So I worked on the inks for Obsoletes #1. I'm also working on the inks for Obsoletes #2 now, and I'm doing inks for Cat and Mouse.
And which Cat and Mouse? Is it the new arc?
Yeah.
The new arc? Okay. I can't ever remember which arc.
I know. I don't remember the numbers. That's probably bad of me. Sorry, Roland.
No, don't worry. I've showed Roland that I've actually picked up his original Cat and Mouse in some dollar bins at comic book stores and stuff. I pulled it up. Hey, look what I just bought, Roland.
That's cool.
So, but you're with Silver Line. You're gonna have a long life with Silver Line.
I'm hoping.
Well, you will, but you're gonna get tired of the Silver Line is like online every day.
They really are.
Roland knows that you guys can't do Thursdays because that's my day.
Oh yeah.
Thursdays. That's why you guys are on like every day except for Thursday because that is my day.
Yeah, I'm on the streaming on Tuesday.
Oh, you do the 11 o'clock at night.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
That's usually my hours of staying awake.
Oh, hey, John Martin said, Jose.
John, what's up?
And he thought it would have been longer that you've been with the company.
I thought it was 6 months. Maybe it might be longer. I'd have to count.
John's a great guy too.
Yeah.
You guys have too many Martins though,
right?
In the whole thing. But I love John. Let's see. Anything else that you want to tell everybody before we call it?
Buy our books so that I can prove to my mom that art school was not a waste. Make mine Silver Line.
See, I'm gonna have to teach you. Well, man.
I know. We're so bad at saying it. Like we say it on our Tuesday stream, but we're never in unison.
Okay, so with that, guys, this is our last interview of the day. I hope you had an enjoyable day. I know there was a time period for a couple hours that we weren't doing interviews, but we were asked to host a costume contest, which turned out great. But until next time, guys, you'll see us next weekend up in Jacksonville. We won't have a table, but we'll be doing our normal O.C.D stuff. So, guys, until then, catch you later.